This is another object. It's a ceramic piece, and these kind of things are really great places to use transfers, and you want them to be not too gritty here. You don't want them to be too carved out because in the you might lose some of your transfer in some of the real textured areas. But right here, there is a place that we could look and see how you could do one right there. And you really don't need much. So I'm just going to pull this one out because it's kind of perfect colors. And then what I'm going to let happen here is I am going to let the edges be like they are, and then they'll peel off if they get stuck to the transfer sheet. But what I'm looking at here, which you won't be able to see, is I can feel that this goes up a little bit, but it looks like the transfer film will still be able to lay flat. If the transfer film is not flat, then it's not going to adhere with the ink. So let's do this, and we'll see what we end up with. Because this would be really cool to put different images on separate places, not everywhere. And this actually happens to be a print that's kind of nice on this design. So it opens up a little bit of possibilities here. So I am going to put this down, and we'll see what happens. Now sometimes I find when the image it's got the transfer fluid on it and it's on a really shiny spot, it just flies right off. So that actually works really well. Now here's a little trick that I use, but you have to be very careful with it. What I do sometimes is when I take a transfer off of something like this, if I think there are rough parts or bubbly parts or something, I'll take the transfer fluid and I will go over it once. You do not want to keep going back over it, because what will happen is you'll lift the whole thing and smush up all the ink because it'll get wet again. But for here, that image looks fine. So maybe I'll just drop a little piece of something in here. Something along the same color lines, and just add another little tiny piece. Okay, here's another trick, and I hope this works. I use this on the metal a lot, and this is not something I'm really recommending. You really got to be careful with it so you don't ruin it. This has ink on it. I'm going to put this directly on the ink. I am only going to wash it across once because I don't want to spread the ink everywhere. This is something that I do, but I really don't put it out much. So it's something you could experiment with if you feel like you might be able to do it. I think I might have missed some of that, but we're going to find in a second whether that's true or not. And I think I'll do it like this, and I'll rub my finger down it to push it down. Then I'll grab my towel. Then I'll grab it and pick it up. And you can see I had a little lifting here where it was not into there's some little nooks and crannies there that it didn't go into, because it is not going to do that if it doesn't have enough solution, and it won't hook to the surface. But that's a fine look for me. And just for kicks, I'm going to do a one thing over. Only one. You do not want to move the ink, because the ink will start to just come up on your brush and you're totally done. So that would be a way to do it to a ceramic piece or something that's shiny. Easier when they're just really flat, which this isn't.